Welcome, everybody, live from the paddock F1
America.
weekend. Oh, F1 America, sorry.
F1 America.
F1 weekend. This is what, 3 weekends in a row?
Yeah, it's going to be 3 weekends in a row. I thought we were going to have this weekend off. I'm glad we don't.
Yeah. Nice little break before the Vegas Grand Prix coming up next weekend. Or, sorry, break next weekend, then Vegas Grand Prix. We got a lot to talk about. We have a big announcement. Pew, pew, pew. And I'm really debating, should we like hold it or should we front load it? I don't know. But we're going to talk about that big announcement. We're going to talk about the USGP. We're going to talk about predictions for Brazil. We're going to also talk about probably some stuff on Vegas, I'm sure, and whatever else we decide to get down the rabbit hole on.
Yep.
Which there's definitely some things we can get down the rabbit hole on.
Some Austin stuff.
Austin. Oh, yeah. It's got
fantasy,
some rumors, which I heard are squashed, but could still be.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw they were squashed.
Squashed really quickly. Let's just get right into it.
Let's go in. Let's dive in.
We are very happy to announce and very excited to announce our first official sponsor of the F1 America podcast.
Yeah.
The podcast is now, or video, whatever. What, is this a podcast or is this a show?
Both.
It's both. Video, TV show,
YouTube, podcast,
rant. Blood Lubricants coming in, sponsoring the show. We are definitely excited to have them. If you need oil, cleaners, anything like that, great quality stuff. I spoke to the owner, Jeff himself. Great quality, second to none. He is a madman, mad genius when it comes to creating oil blends, whether it's also suspension oils too, actually. Suspension for your bikes, UTVs, whatever.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to redo mine for the truck.
Vehicle,
my external resis,
vehicle oil, cleaners, swag. So yeah, we're definitely excited. We are working on some stuff with them, some promo stuff with them. So we will definitely keep you guys posted on if there's any discount codes or anything like that.
Yeah.
So definitely just stay in touch if you can. Go give them a follow, a like, whatever your preferred social media is, whether it's Instagram, it's Facebook. If you want to write a Google review, by all means, go do that too.
We'll put their links below and things like that. But
that is
we're just excited. We're excited the channel's growing. We're excited that you guys are enjoying it, and you know that it's progressing.
Yeah, no, we're definitely
all the work is progressing. It's fun. It's fun to see.
So actually, I would say slowly but surely, but relatively speaking, with how long we've been doing this, I'm
almost a year now.
I'm super excited, but also to see kind of something happen. And big thank you to Jeff. We're super excited.
Yeah.
So thank you for the opportunity, Jeff and Blood. You know what I was just saying though, right before Google reviews. People like. I get emails like if I read a review, I get emails like, "Oh, your review got 500 views or likes or whatever," and I was like, "What?" I'm like, "People, this is like a thing." It like represents or replicates social media in a way. It's like super fun. It's super funky. But yeah, so definitely go check out Blood Lubricants and let's dive into the show. So US GP.
Yep.
Lots kind of there's like lots to unpack, but not lots to unpack. Zach called it at the beginning earlier in the year that he thought Lando would be the one to take down Max, and that's how it was looking. He was definitely looking fast and fiery, and I don't know what happened to Lando. He kind of just like fizzled out like right after the pits. He just kind of like he was on a really good pace, strong, and then he switched tires, and then I feel like I don't know if he faded or the car faded or what happened, but he just definitely wasn't he definitely wasn't able to hold the pace the entire time.
Yeah.
So but still a great result for McLaren. Great to see them keep going, especially with Piastri having to pull out. Or was that last weekend? Am I getting them too confused? No, he pulled out at USA, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Piastri wasn't able to finish. He DNF'd because they had to retire the car.
Because it was last week they swapped around, right?
Yeah. Last week they did that super casual swap, which we'll talk about that, which was pretty gangster actually. Charles was looking kind of feisty, and then he just got the pit strategy wrong again, which is the normal cadence for Ferrari.
Ferrari, I will say this season's been a lot better than last season. I feel like every race last season they just got totally hammered. Beginning of part of this year was starting to look that way, and what is it? They got their new guy.
I don't know who he is. Well, they got rid of Benito.
Yeah.
Harry Potter. Harry Potter's uncle, long lost uncle. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what their deal is. I mean, I just think like the car
is in there now, right?
Yeah.
Fred Vasseur.
Yeah. The Alfa Romeo guy. And so, I mean, things seem to be going well, and
it's going a lot better than they have been.
More consistent results for sure. It's frustrating.
The car was looking fast.
Yeah. Frustrating to see though. I guess like Charles keeps getting robbed. I mean, I'm not a Charles fanboy, but like Charles, Carlos, they're just hot and cold. Like either Ferrari's in it one weekend or they're not in it at all. That's
yeah. I mean, Charles has like 28 or 29 poles and only 5 wins.
Yeah, so it's like an 18%, 18.18 percentage of like win ratio, which is
not looking great.
Not looking great. I'm sure it's unheard of. I mean,
it's the worst in, I think, F1. Like,
is it the worst in F1 history?
I think so.
I don't know. I'm sure there's been some guys out there that were pretty rough too, though. But I mean, okay, think about you take Charles out and throw him in the last era. Would he compete with Lewis in his prime? I don't know. I think Max is also if they're in an even car, can Charles compete? If they're both in Red Bulls.
I don't think Charles can compete with Lewis now versus Lewis. You know what I mean?
And Lewis is in still kind of
Lewis is kind of on form right now, though, as far as his performance. I think he's finally back in a mental game.
Yeah.
I think Mercedes just isn't quite there yet.
I would agree. He's definitely shown a lot more fight and feistiness this year than he did ever last year. Which I think he kind of just rolled over last year and knew he's like, it's just going to be, I got to roll with the punches here, and this is going to be a building year.
Yeah.
Now I think they're thinking this year's a building year, kind of competitive, and then
they're still second in the championship.
Yeah, no, right? And so he could be second in points, or he's about to be second in points.
Almost, right? Yeah. If the Austin finish didn't happen, then he might have actually passed Checo.
How many points did they only get? No, they get like
20
for second or third,
something like that. Yeah.
I was thinking of quality points from sprint weekend because they only get 10. So yeah. No, they would probably be tied right now or within a point.
They'd be close. They'd be real close. Yeah. Yeah. So obviously Lewis and Charles both got disqualified from the Austin race due to a plank issue. If you guys don't know exactly what the plank is, basically it's this piece of wood that's underneath the car. It's wrapped on the ends with carbon fiber. So when you see all the sparks flying off, that's the carbon fiber that's on the plank. What does the plank do exactly?
I don't know if it reinforces it or if it helps with.
It's like a structural thing.
Yeah, which blows my mind. It's a piece of wood. It's not like
it literally is still wood.
Why wouldn't they put not a steel beam, but you know what I mean? Why wouldn't they put a piece of metal through there for integrity and stuff like that? I'm sure it's to do with protection on the chassis too, because they probably built the chassis around that. I probably should look this up, but I'm just making assumptions, right? They build the chassis, I'm assuming, around that so that it has a sturdy piece. What am I trying to say? In my head, it was making a lot more sense. So they basically build the chassis around it, so it has a structural piece to build around and to keep that integrity. Just, I guess the weird thing to me is this wood. Why don't you just do a tube, almost like an off-road truck, like a tube chassis or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Right. Well, so I may not know exactly what the plank does, but I did research a little bit and watched, one of the Mercedes videos talking about kind of what happened, right? Well, they all have a setup in the car, and we all know they go into parc ferme during qualifying, which means the cars are locked. They can't do anything for the rest of the weekend on that. They can change like a front wing. They can change certain variables, but everything has to stay the same due to car setup. So whatever their setup was going into qualifying, it can't be touched. It all has to stay the same. That also means ride height. And so Austin, I think, recently got new curbs. Austin was also a sprint race, which means normally on a typical weekend, they'll have 3 practices to be able to adjust those different ride heights and see how things are wearing and be able to adjust that, and then 1 race. So because it was a sprint, they had 1 practice and then qualifying, right? And then they had another qualifying, they had the sprint, and then they had the race. So a lot of laps on that same car setup without being able to tweak it or tune it. So basically that's what created a lot more wear than they anticipated. And guys, when we're talking about wear, it's like fractions of a millimeter. It's not centimeters, inches. It wasn't even a millimeter. It was like fraction of a millimeter.
But they got DQ'd by.
But totally DQ'd, right? So it's really interesting for me, I think. Well, one, my fantasy got fucked. I did, man. It was like a swing of almost 80 points because I had Lewis in there, and he finished the race second.
Right. Did you have a multiplier on him too? Or no?
No, I had multiplier on max. So, but I lost, like, it was gonna be, he was getting like 130. Well, let's see. No, he was gonna get a lot of points. Maybe he was gonna get,
because you get points
40.
for every position.
I think he was gonna get like 45 points or something. Instead, I got like -38.
Yeah.
There's something crazy. Which, by the way, you guys last week with Piastri getting DQ'd, or sorry, this week with Checo going out,
Checo.
he only lost like minus
7 points.
7 points. How did Lewis get -40? Like, what the fuck? Like,
I bet you it's because since he got disqualified, he moves backwards in the field. So technically,
well, yeah, but
because you make a position, you make points for every position you pass.
Oh, so
but
even
then,
though
so technically
a DNF is different than a DQ,
I would imagine, or
because so maybe the DQ is obviously like more severe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's ever.
But it makes it seem like did they take out his points from the sprint too?
Possibly.
Like if you get DQ'd, do you lose both of those?
I could.
Or is it a separate race, right?
I would think you would keep the sprint points.
Yeah, I don't know. It just
like cancel each other out.
It just seems crazy. It screwed me. Luckily, I
think there's a couple people in the league that got messed up.
Yeah, I mean, I made a bold choice on this past race, thinking I had a really strong suspicion that Checo was going to go out in the first corner. So I personally didn't pick him. I know. Okay. No, I'm just talking about fantasy.
No. Well, I mean, that was pretty much the big notes from.
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest thing. I think maybe that rule's outdated.
No, I actually wanted to talk about Parc Ferme. I think Parc Ferme is stupid. Every other form of racing that I know of, whether it's
you can redo after qualifying.
I mean, guys in motocross change suspension setup between races.
Yeah.
So it's like they're allowed to do that. So I don't know. I think why wouldn't you be able to adjust suspension? You're taking just as much of a gamble. I mean,
yeah, because if you get it wrong, then you're really off, right?
You see it more in motocross, right? Like they say, "Oh yeah, definitely went the wrong way," but maybe because there's less technology behind it. F1, there's so much technology they can simulate. Like, okay, cool. If we go 2 clicks,
they know exactly. Yeah,
we know it's going to be bad in the beginning of the race, but it's going to progress to be better.
Well, and I think maybe why they do it is because you could have one setup that is really good for qualifying, and then change it and have your setup be really good for the race. Instead, now you have to kind of have. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's okay. I just think maybe specifically for the plank rule, like, I don't know when exactly it was determined, but it's been a long time. And so I think it was before they had sprint races in
maybe they
F1. So
maybe they allow for like from qualifying. Maybe for qualifying, you have I don't know how easy it is to change the plank, right? But like maybe from qualifying to the sprint race, you're allowed to adjust the plank or reset the plank or something. Either change it, reset it, redetermine it.
Or maybe test every single car in the field.
Yeah, well,
so it was. I don't know why this chair keeps losing.
He's probably
they're learning how short I really am. So that it's like a random test.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's no different than like a random drug test, right? Like, in a way.
But it's like if it's that severe of a punishment, like if it's that big of an offense, maybe they should be testing all of them.
I would think. Well, it doesn't matter to test 19th because what are you going to do? DQ them for not doing anything?
But they get negative points, I guess.
But they're not thinking about the fantasy points.
No. But even like if it hurts them in the championship too, I don't know.
No, so I think I thought I would make sense if they test the top 3 every time, or even like the top 5, because it's like, okay, if third fails, so fourth moves up to third, right? Kind of exactly what happened. So you get like an adjustment on your points.
Well, I think Charles was even in 4th, right? Like he didn't even make a podium.
Yeah, so that moved up everybody else.
Yeah.
So I think you test the top 5 would make sense.
Maybe, yeah.
Or for sure, I think for sure the top 3, because every other form of racing too, the top 3 gets it's like go to tech for inspection, right? So make sure they're carrying enough fuel to make sure they're.
Well, and I think all the cars get tested for fuel.
Yeah, so it's like they kind of pick and choose what they want to test for. So it's like either test for all of it or don't test for it all, or don't. Test
and I saw something that's like, well, like the FIA basically kind of defending like, well, we don't have the time to just test everything on every car all the time. And I get it, but maybe make it like, all right, well, next race you start 5 points or 5 places back or something. Like I don't know.
Well, I mean, at the same time though, like you get a guy like Max, who's like, okay, cool, I'll just take the penalty because I'm fast enough to drive through drive through the field. Like I'll just get the optimal setup and I'll start in 5th every weekend and then I'll still go forward. So
well,
I don't
think
know.
It was made when people were obviously the rule was made because people were cheating that, right?
Right.
So it's just wild.
Man. Well, is it cheating or is it just there wasn't a rule there and they were just figuring out a way to dial in their setup, right? So it's like, okay, cool.
That's how the rules are made, right?
Yeah,
somebody exploits something
this
and
guy
then they change it, just like Mercedes had DOS, right?
Yeah.
And it's like technically not in the rules, it's not illegal, but now everybody else can't figure it out, so it's gone.
Yeah.
But
which I mean, if you're smart enough to figure it out, what do you do? Like I don't think you should be punished for it. Maybe
no, and they weren't punished in that season, they just couldn't use it after that.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. McLaren's looking pretty good on form. Obviously, that one retirement for Piastri was a bummer for them. I thought Albon was going to do a little bit better. He definitely drove good and had some good overtakes.
Qualified 6th.
Yeah, and I thought that course with how wide open it is would have helped them a lot. Sargent, I don't know what to say about Sargent. I mean, I'm bummed. He's just like, oh well, no, he got points at USA because of. It was like
that's right.
Hand-me-down points. That's what they were.
2 people got DQ'd.
Yeah, so it moved everybody up, which is great.
It's cool.
He broke that record since Michael Andretti. He was the first person, and what is that, like 30 years?
Yeah, since like first American 97 or 90 something, I think.
To get first American to get points since Michael Andretti, which is great, and I'll take it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If I was on the bubble and whether you qualify in to the show or you finish and you get those points because of that, and you get a bonus because of that, whatever the term is. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to take it, but there wasn't any. He was driving better than majority of the times because he would put himself in the opportunity to get those points when he got moved up. At least he wasn't like in 16th and he got moved up to 14th.
Yeah, he definitely, I think, is driving a little bit better.
Yeah,
this final leg. I think he probably knows the track a little better, which helps.
Yeah,
I
don't know if he's gonna.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, especially you look at Liam Lawson, right? Who just steps in and is crushing, and then DR comes back and all of a sudden he's crushing the AlphaTauri.
Yeah, I mean, we could just jump straight to Mexico because from day one, from Friday, he was on in Mexico. Like, yeah, he was throwing up top 3, top 5 times.
Like 4.
Yeah, he qualified 4th. He out-qualified Sergio.
Finished the race 6th.
Out-qualified Sergio and still beat Sergio technically.
Yes.
Too soon.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, DR was on it and Bottas was on it too. Like both those guys were.
Yeah, I mean, he was flying too.
Yeah, so it was great to see him on form and back to his old self. You could see his energy is definitely amped up.
Yeah,
I'm curious how they'll be in Brazil. I don't know because that track's like totally different. I feel like it's got a lot of elevation. It's not very fast.
I mean, George won it last year. Mercedes went 1-2 last year, and they had a terrible car. What happened to Max? Did Red Bull have something?
He had
an issue,
like a big penalty, remember? And he had started like way back in the
okay. Because I'm like, I don't think they won it like 100% on merit, right?
No, yeah, because Max was basically buried. Remember, Max was in 6th, and then they were trying to get Checo a couple more points.
That's right.
And then Max went to pull out of the way. He's like, why am I going to pull out of the way?
Yeah, that's right. And then Checo got like 3rd to Charles, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. I mean, shoot, who knows? We might be in that same situation this year with Lewis and everything, especially with how fast he's coming on.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I mean, and Lewis is really good in Brazil.
Yeah.
Right.
And obviously he's proven that with the shit car too. So
and their car's kind of stepping up the last few races.
Yeah, no, it's been way racier.
I'm hopeful.
Way racier. I have him on my fantasy team for this weekend because I knew he could get there.
Yeah.
I'm curious though. So say Lewis is in the lead for some reason, right? And Max is in 2nd and Sergio's in 3rd, hypothetically speaking, and put him in any points paying position. Does Max get out of the way this time around?
No.
I don't think he does.
No,
but
he doesn't.
But that being said, also does then Lewis say we fast forward, does Lewis get 2nd, right? And then do they move Checo to AlphaTauri? Does Checo lead completely? Because there was a comment that Checo said he's like, I want to be racing in 24, but if we're not driving, then I got to look at other options. So if you're openly willing to say that, you're kind of foreshadowing a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it for the last half of the season, and like they really have not, I think, treated Checo very well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even publicly, I mean, well, Helmut Marko, for one, I don't know why that guy's even still in F1. He's outdated. But
no, for sure.
You know, it is like I think how could he feel like family there, honestly?
I think Christian, I think he probably looks at DR and sees, I think DR is more family than Checo is for sure. Checo was the hero to come be a good backup driver for the last 2 years, and then now it's just kind of
so the statement from Checo was interesting too, of like, why don't you guys give me the same car spec from Barcelona?
Yeah, I know he requested that for Mexico, and I guarantee you, well, if he would have done the same shit, if he would have drove, it wouldn't have mattered because he would have still got taken out by Charles,
yeah, maybe, but that also goes to show they developed the car around Max for the entire season, and
for sure,
it's undrivable in comparison.
I guess I just don't understand, and we've talked about this before. I don't understand why you wouldn't, if he's asking for that and willing to take that gamble, like why wouldn't you be like,
well, why wouldn't you develop enough variation? You know, like
maybe it could be 60% Max and 40% Checo, and be like, okay, hey, we can change these parts for your car to make it more drivable.
Well, especially because I see there's a cost cap, right? So maybe you can't fully develop 2 cars for 2 separate individuals. If he's asking for a spec from fucking the beginning of the season, that's not going to cost you anymore. You already have all those parts, right?
Right. Yeah, that's the one thing that does blow my mind about F1 is like, why wouldn't you set your car, like, why are you going to set it up for only one driving style? Like, unless, like we talked about, you get lucky and Seb and DR are very similar driving styles, or who fill in the blank. It could be Max and DR, it could be Max and Alonso. Whatever.
But I think, so we throw DR in next season, right?
Right.
Because he's doing so well. Are they going to listen to how he wants to develop the car? They're just going to keep going with Max, the 3-time world champ. I think DR gets shafted. And then he looks terrible like Checo looks. I think Checo's a better driver than, everything makes it look.
No, I think Checo's a good driver. I think Checo's better than DR. I don't know about that.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
I think they're probably equal drivers. I think if you put them both in cars they're comfortable in, I bet you DR is a better driver given the same amount of time. Like if he has the same amount of time in a Red Bull as Checo does, I think DR will be faster than Checo.
Yeah.
And I mean, we say that, sorry, I bumped the camera, just moved everything. But like, look at him at was it not the Barcelona test? What was it, Silverstone test? The test that DR, when he was the backup driver, jumped in and did the test, the Pirelli test in Max's car, and he was doing fast enough times.
I think it was Barcelona
to be on the grid, on the front row.
Okay, so let's say it was Barcelona.
Yeah.
That's also the same car that Checo's requesting.
Right.
So
I don't know what Checo qualified in Barcelona. I don't recall.
I mean, Checo was winning races in the beginning of the season.
When was Barcelona?
I think Barcelona was like 3rd, 4th, something like that.
Okay. So,
but they probably had Barcelona spec car for a few races after, even.
Yeah.
Like when he was winning, and then it just all went to shit.
Yeah, I'm just curious
because that's also like, I don't think there was so much pressure at that time. Obviously the pressure's been building throughout the season. Now it's like huge, but at that time where you start to see his decline, they were both going for the title, and then I think obviously development towards Max.
No, for sure. I'm not saying I disagree at all.
But I will say everybody knows Max's driving style is way different than everybody else's,
for sure,
and the way he likes his car set up, I guess, really is what's so different, right? Front nose heavy and all that, and everybody else is a little.
Is that why he was freaking out in the braking?
Probably, because he
couldn't drive it because it was so
steery, probably so
hard to.
But but so then I forgot what I was going to say, but
well, I mean, I was kind of thinking about that. He's freaking out about in the braking zone, like having to focus. Like, are you really having to focus that hard?
I think because he was having brake issues.
Right. Yeah. So he's having brake issues. So it's like, since is your car that like set up like that to where like if you're not on like fully 100% focused, like you're gonna wreck the thing. Like I don't know. That's like a trip. That's a trip to me.
Probably. This is what I was gonna say. I find it's interesting how far the gap is. Like Checo was battling for the championship, and now he's like back in the midfield, like
maybe a
hard,
fifth place guy.
yeah, like whoa, that's a big difference compared to Max's like 20-30 seconds in the lead winning races.
I don't. It's just like you don't know. There's so many variables, right? Like, is it solely the car? Is it Checo?
We get a chair sponsor so I can.
Can we get a drinking game every time Eric lifts his chair? You got to take a shot. Or beer. Damn it! Now you made me lose my train of thought. What the hell was I saying? Oh no, sorry. So Checo over time, is it, Checo's a little bit older than Max, not claiming he's the old card, but so he's driving all this time. Like, is it lack of focus? Is there something going on outside of it? Is the cartel threatening him? I don't know. Like, so is he freaking out because of that? Or is he like in not being able to focus throughout the duration of the season? Like, he comes into the season hot and like, yeah, cool. Like, I'm fired up, ready to go. And then maybe he starts getting not degraded, but getting down on himself because now he's not competing with Max. So then they're like, well, Max is taking off, so we're going to start favoring him. Like, because what if, hypothetically speaking, what if Sergio was winning all these races? Like, would they develop the car towards Sergio then?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know that, but there's so many variables.
I would say no because Max is their golden child.
Right.
But maybe
say Max has
also cutthroat, right?
Say hypothetically Max has a shit year next year because he's been on top for so long and like has a mental lapse all next year, and DR is in Red Bull and DR is like winning everything. So are they going to start favoring DR? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so like DR is so hungry to get back in a competitive car, and we kind of saw that this weekend. So it's like, okay, then he's so feisty and fired up. He wants the Red Bull seat. He said he wants to retire at Red Bull. So if he gets another year or two at Red Bull, is he just going to send it and like figure it out? I don't know. Like, there's so many variables. I was like, is it his mental focus? Is it the car? Is it something going on behind the scenes we don't even see, like with his family? Maybe his wife's leaving him. I don't know.
I mean, it could be a combination. Usually is a combination of things.
Yeah.
I think potentially it's partly the car setup. I think potentially it's not feeling supported by a team.
I can see that.
And I think that weight is probably increased every single race you don't perform, and so I'm sure he's seeing potential end in his career. Think about, he didn't have a drive and then Red Bull picked him up. Granted, I think he performed really well for them.
No, for sure. He did what
he helped them get
needed to do.
Titles, 3 titles.
I think though, I don't think him sending it in the first corner though was the greatest idea.
No, but I think he, going for broke right now.
Yeah, and I get it. Your home Grand Prix.
I knew it was something. The home curse. There's only a handful, like a few drivers that really performed well at their home crowd.
What, Lewis,
Max and Lewis. Maybe Alonso. Spanish Grand Prix. I don't know. Really, it's like those two. Charles has got a huge curse.
Yeah, we know Charles. Yeah,
right. His specifically.
Lando at Silverstone.
Lando did okay.
He's okay. Yeah, he's okay. He obviously hasn't won, but he's okay. Logan can't do it at any of his home races. Maybe Vegas. Maybe
Vegas is the race. Well, you know what? He got points in Austin. That's big.
Yeah, that's true. I guess.
So maybe maybe
he's turning it around. Maybe he's proving.
But I think didn't he have a crash in Miami? That was like his closest home race.
Yeah, because I think he's from Florida. I don't know if he had. I don't remember if he had a crash.
I don't know. I just had a feeling, and it pulled me back into the lead
from Mexico. DR is on the rise, and Checo's on the fall. Well, Checo's been on the fall since before then, but that just kind of put kind of the nail in the coffin. Now Checo has to perform. He's not putting himself in a good position.
Yeah. So let's say, obviously, he had a DNF. What if he barely beats Lewis in the championship, and but he still doesn't do well the rest of the season? You think they still pull him?
I'm trying to think how that would even happen, because like with how Lewis is performing, Lewis is in top 4, I'd say, consistently now.
Yeah, I mean, outside of, did Lewis have one? He had a crash DNF, right?
Yeah, that was with him and Russell. The same exact thing. Because that's what he said. His quote was, "Oh shit, he's doing what I did."
Yeah. So
they both have a DNF.
Outside of that, Lewis scored points in every single race this year.
Yeah.
So just consist. Yep.
Okay.
It was up until then where he didn't.
Yeah.
And then obviously this disqualifying.
I think that was like a stat I saw that this is like his first non-point scoring, where he scored in every race. No, that can't be true because he crashed out of Monza a couple years ago with Max.
Yeah.
So never mind. Disregard that stat.
Last year was the first year he ever didn't win a Grand Prix in his entire career.
Got it.
In like 15 years.
Yeah.
And he's on par kind of to not get another one this year.
Right. I mean, Brazil could definitely. I mean, Max is still really good there, unless Max had like a shit qualifying or like a shit, like he has a motor
Did they
thing.
get a penalty last year? Is that why you started late?
That could have been why too. I don't remember. So
train or
and
something.
it's a sprint race this weekend.
All right, start drinking
this year. So, I'm curious to see kind of what'll happen. I'm curious to see. I don't know. There's only 3 races left. There's 20 points. If Checo still finishes at the bottom of the top 10, he's only getting 1 to 4 points. And if Lewis keeps finishing at the top of the top 5, like he's getting double-digit points. So it takes him 2 races to make up the
3 races.
Yeah, 3 races left, and he only needs to make up 20 points.
Abu Dhabi.
Either Checo DNFs or Checo just doesn't finish well, and it's going to be that could be down to the wire the last race for sure.
It's exciting.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I'm trying to think who else would be good at Brazil. I mean, Max has been so good for so long. It's kind of hard to remember who.
Going to stay good. You know who surprised me actually in Mexico was Ferrari, because they were not looking good in any of the practices, and then Leclerc takes fucking pole.
Yeah, out of nowhere,
and then Max wins again. Aren't they? I think they have like 18 races or something where Leclerc takes pole and Max wins. Some crazy stat like that.
Yeah, maybe they have the ends together and like they're paying each other. I don't know. Paying each other bonuses. I'm hoping. I mean, I don't know. Since that track is so funky, maybe AlphaTauri does well at that track. I don't think. Well, that one front straightaway is kind of fast and long, but I don't know if Williams will really do well there. I think they're not good in the tight stuff.
Albon's been doing really well. He's been driving really well. Their car's definitely been progressing. They have a lot of speed. They just, the fast or like slower, windy stuff has been more of a challenge for them.
Which I think they even said Red Bull struggles with that. That's where Ferrari was making up so much time in a lot of the tracks is like the tighter stuff. So
yeah, and I know Mercedes has said they've struggled with those, but it seems like they were doing better in the short, windy stuff because their top speed's just not there like it has been in the past years.
So Ferrari could be a challenger this weekend because it's not a very top speedy track. It's very tight, it's very windy, so it's just going to come down to a lot of car setup. But then we're back to the sprint.
I thought there was a lot of cool passes in Mexico. Thought there was a lot, like Max had some risky ones.
Actually, the pass of the race was, I think, Lando's in that bottom corner, that short shoot corner.
Yeah,
that thing was so sick. And then somebody else did it too.
Lewis had some good overtakes.
Yeah,
I thought the race as a whole was really good.
Oh, K-Max suspension braking was pretty gnarly.
Oh, that was gnarly. Yeah,
that was like super funky, and it took you had to watch it like 4 times.
Did he tap the wall barely like right before, like the corner before that?
No, because that's a sweeping. It's like open on the left.
Okay.
Yeah, so there wasn't no.
So I thought I heard one of the commentators say something about hitting the wall like prior, like just a tap that probably caused that.
I remember
maybe it was a lap before.
They might have been a lap before in another corner. I think I remember hearing that as well, but I can't remember which corner it was.
Yeah, that was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I mean, it was just violent and fast and definitely bad. And then the whole tire situation after that too is wild because they called a red flag. So, and then Max got tires. I think Ferrari get tires. Some people like 3 of the 4, like the top 5 got tires.
Oh yeah.
But then it ended up being a full restart. So doing a full restart on the hards where I was like, oh man.
Well, yeah. So I guess, they're only allocated so many for the weekend, right? And a bunch of teams didn't have any fresh thing like mediums or softs or whatever. So
and they were trying
they had to
go
put
the
him
rest of
on
the
a
race.
scrub set. Yeah. So that was interesting because didn't Lewis like he put on like hards, right? But then he was able to like through degradation carry him the entire race, which
So
it was a long stint.
Confusing question because I thought under a red flag restart you're not allowed to change tires, but then I heard
No,
something. You can.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was like, oh, dude, Max got fresh tires now. He's dialed because nobody else can change tires. But then like 5 minutes later, they're like, yeah, everybody can change tires now. I'm like, what?
Yeah, no. So that's part of the strategy, right? Is like, and some people get screwed because if somebody crashes right in that pit window, let's say, but like somebody already like Max were to pit right before trying to get an overcut, right? Or an undercut.
Yeah.
Then the red flag, now everybody who didn't pit has the advantage because they still get to swap their tires and it counts for a tire change.
Got it.
As long as they put a different compound, right?
Right.
And so then they are already set for all that. And so it screws the people that went before.
Yeah, I mean, F1's confusing. Anyways, so Brazil.
That's also why, like that controversial race with where Max won the first championship.
Oh yeah.
Like they potentially should have made a red flag and a restart.
Right. Like
then Lewis and him would have both had
been on fresh tires.
and it would have been.
It would have been a heads up, more of a heads up race, yeah.
And so Max had nothing to lose because there was he was able to pit on a yellow flag and had him and Lewis were so much ahead.
Right.
Like
and
now,
then
but if Lewis would have pit and Max would have taken position, then now Max had because in most scenarios in that case the race would have ended under safety car. And so that's why a big reason why Lewis stayed out because he had track position. He was, leading the race. And
he thought it was going to be
pretty handedly, but not a pit stop ahead. Right.
He thought he wasn't going to have to do a green white checkered. If anything, they just finished under.
Right.
Got it.
And
I don't remember that. Because I think they just they didn't do a full restart because the crash from Latifi wasn't that bad. It was just kind of like he was like off in no man's land on his own. Yeah,
but and then under regulation, all the lapped cars are supposed to be able to go through.
Yeah.
There were, if you remember, there were four lappers in between Lewis and Max.
Right.
And so you either let nobody go through or you let everybody go through. The rule states let everybody go through before the race restarts.
Right.
They let those four go through and nobody else. So that's the big, that's the whatever. But anyway, yes, you get to change your tires under red flag. That saves a lot of people if they gamble correctly. A lot of it's fucking luck, man.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I've seen a lot of guys like change tires and then like 2 laps later, safety car comes out and it's like,
and you're like, shit, man. If we would have just waited, But how do you don't predict that,
right?
Unless you tell the TV to crash. And
going back to that race, it's like okay, so they want to see a race. It's tied. They're tied points. So I get why he only let half them through, right? Because if you would have let the whole field through, by the time they restack, the race is over. So it's like, okay, what would you rather do? Have the whole field restack and then it turn into, okay, we're going to do a green, white checker to get an actual race result? Or are you just let those 4 through? Like, I don't know. I see both sides of it. I'm not saying like he did it right or he did it wrong. Like,
yeah. But it's just either let them all go through per the regulation or let nobody go through and let them race. And Max has to come through the lappers like any normal race.
Well, no, I don't think you let the lappers stay there. Why would you shouldn't let the lappers stay there?
Because the only reason they got there is because Max pit. So Max put himself in that position to put lappers in between.
Yeah, I still don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I get why he got there, but I still don't. I don't think you reset the whole field. Yeah, I mean that was the easiest and most convenient way to do it. I don't even think I can believe you because you keep having to adjust your chair. But
I'll lose some weight.
Anyways, it's in the past, Derek. Lewis is not a title, 8th world title.
He is in my eyes.
Do we even talk? Oh yeah, we talked about.
I know what we need to talk about. So
what?
Whatever conspiracy theories you're thinking, or rumors.
I saw a rumor that Alonso could go to Red Bull.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Sergio and Alonso basically switched.
Yeah, and Alonso go or Sergio go to Aston Martin,
which was his old team,
Racing Point.
Yeah. Which I'm curious how that would be.
And that's kind of what I was like.
I don't think he left them on bad terms, right? I just think he didn't have a contract.
I think they cut him. Yeah.
Damn it,
Even
Siri.
Siri's not sure. Nobody's sure.
Yeah. So I mean, was that the only other thing?
I think that was the biggest thing that I saw. And Alonso was like, "Oh, let's squash this right now. That's not true."
Oh, actually, we could talk about really quick Mexico. Charles getting booed like really bad. That was like pretty heavy, and he's like, "Guys, I had nowhere to go. What'd you want me to do?" Which
totally, and
he kind of didn't really have anywhere to go. Like, I don't know. Maybe he should have checked up a little more. I think a little bit of everything. I
think 100% that was Checo.
He could have checked up more. I think Checo definitely sent it way. If he was going so fast in that corner, by the time he actually clipped his wheel, though, like I don't think he was going to make the corner regardless.
I mean, he cut that. I mean, he had a lot more corner left. You know, like he could have taken it a lot wider, I think.
Yeah, he for sure could have taken a lot wider. It reminded me, it was almost just like
Lewis and George.
Slightly different. I think Checo came in more aggressive than
I agree. Yeah. I agree. And I don't think that Charles was to blame at all. I think George maybe was a little bit to blame.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, Charles, I definitely had nowhere to go because he was just like, I mean, if you watch the replay a couple times, like a couple of those guys are so sandwiched in, it was so sketchy. I'd be like, God, I'd be terrified because he's slamming on the brakes.
That corner's sketch anyway, right? Even like during qualifying and practice, people are fucking flying out of it, basically.
Right. Well, also it's the fastest straight into a corner like that, which is super weird.
Highest top speed on any circuit, I believe.
Well, they could get there. That's when the car's performing the most, but they're not hitting the highest top speed because of the elevation. The turbo's working so much that they can't get to the highest top speed.
Oh, really?
Unless the cars have slowed down, because I've seen
the cars have slowed down.
Yeah, because I've seen some cars. I'm like, dude, they're doing like way faster at this track than they're at this track. So
yeah, the 2020 Mercedes, right? Isn't that when Bottas actually made that world record or whatever fastest?
I don't know.
Yeah, because they changed all the new spec.
Got it.
Right. That was the last year or maybe it was 21, the last year that Mercedes won, and their car was fast as fuck.
Right.
But all the new regulations, remember the wheel arch covers and stuff, like all that stuff makes them slower.
So Brazil predictions. Who's gonna win the sprint?
Yeah, it's another sprint weekend, which is exciting. It's gonna like throw things, it's the last sprint. I think we have to put Max in there.
Then to win?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, insane. I'd love to see Lewis win one.
Right.
But as much as Mercedes has progressed, I don't know that they're quite there, barring some incident. Right. Say Max has an incident or somehow they fuck up a strategy or something.
Right.
Sure. Then I say, maybe Mercedes is in there. I wouldn't count out McLaren right now. Lando's driving really well, and honestly, Oscar's driving really well.
I think Lando's due for a win. Lando's due.
Yeah, that poor guy. Yeah, did you see his comment? He said
he's gonna do one win.
Nico Rosberg retired after his first championship. I'm gonna retire after my first win. He's a good kid, man, and he works hard, and he's a great driver. I'd like to see him get a win for sure. So.
I mean, we saw McLaren win a sprint, so you can't really count them out. I think Lewis or the Mercedes. I think Lewis more so than George. I don't think George will get a win this year. I think Lewis could.
Did you see the other funny I think it was Albon, George, and maybe Charles, and they're all chatting about like just kind of the championship and stuff, and somebody had said like, oh well, like Mercedes isn't performing like super well, and George was like, well, we're second in the point, like in the championship, and Alex was like, oh, Lewis has been driving well then.
I think I just it's like a meme or like a comment or something.
Yeah, it's like a meme. It was funny. And Lewis is like almost second in the championship too.
I think Lewis could be good. Both McLarens have both been driving really good since they've updated the car, like we've mentioned.
I mean, fuck if
I don't know
Ferrari steps up like they did in Mexico,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, we'll know 11 o'clock tomorrow during qualifying,
Right.
you know, how it's gonna go. But
Vegas. So Vegas, if you're going to Vegas, definitely let us know if you want to call in. Would love to have you on the show.
oh yeah, I got a buddy that went to the Austin one too, so
really?
we'll get him on. Yeah.
I bought tickets to Austin for next year.
Did you?
Yeah.
For both of us?
No.
For me and you?
No.
Raina can stay with Jen. Sorry, Rain.
So, but Vegas is a trip because obviously I would love to go to Vegas.
I'm gonna
It's
do
closer.
a video on all the different types of packages that Vegas has. Apparently, there's a ton, and
Oh,
like
God.
there's like a $50,000 package or something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna do a separate video on that, and I'll
Jesus.
try and release that right before Vegas race.
I think that'd be good. Did you see the videos of people like they're putting up like the tape or
Yeah, I
the
did.
banners or
And they're
whatever,
like taking it down.
and then people are like ripping it open and looking on the
Yeah,
track and stuff.
I saw that today.
So that's a trip. They're definitely making it not, which I mean I get it, but at the same time I think they're kind of being almost borderline petty about it. It's like if you walk by, like cool, just like have a security guard standing there, like yo, you can't stand here and watch. But like
know,
if
I'm
you
like,
happen to
let's
walk
just
and like you
stop
could like
and
glance over there,
watch,
like yeah.
Well, they also said that they are charging, like, if your restaurant is on the strip or your club is on the strip and you have access to watch the race, they're charging the restaurant, I think, $15,000 per occupancy.
What?
Like, so if your club holds, let's say, 100 people,
Right?
then they're going to charge you $15,000 per person.
Head.
Yeah,
Jesus.
because you're able to watch the race. It was something absurd like that, and all the owners are like, "Are you like fuck you? Like, put your banners over our windows. We don't give a shit."
Yeah,
Because that's what they said, or we'll just block out your windows.
Oh right. I was gonna say there's no like that's stupid.
Crazy though, right? It was like an absurd amount of money too.
Yeah, see, I don't believe like that's fucked. Like
I'll try and find if I can see if that's real.
F1 or the FIA, whoever it is, you guys are a bunch of assholes at that point. Like you're not even gonna be able to see. You're eating dinner, and it's like like it's gonna go by so fast. Actually, I'm curious. I just thought about this. Mexico, right, is one of the fastest circuits. The strip piece is going to be really long. So I wonder what the top speed will be there, if that'll maybe become the new like fastest section.
Yeah,
because it's really long. I don't know the stat on it, but it's really long from
they had to like permanently change the strip, right? To fit the track.
I know there's a bunch of construction
a contract for like how many years? 5 years or something like that. Yeah.
Somebody was saying, I saw a comment somewhere that somebody said like it's not going to happen again because there was so much work to do it. And I'm like, well, they have a contract in place. There's no way it's not going to keep happening. Like, unless it absolutely shits the bed.
Are you kidding me? I think it's going to be the highest fucking paid F1 race in history so far. Everybody's talking about going there. All the drivers. I personally don't. I don't like Vegas at all.
Right.
I think it's ridiculous. But apparently there's this huge draw, and a lot of the drivers were asking for a Vegas race too.
Yeah, I mean, I think they want it because of the glitz and the glam, and a lot of Europeans go there, right, just to go check it out. And I mean, I see Europeans there all the time, Asian, European, whatever, all of them.
Yeah,
everybody goes there for some reason. Like,
I guess.
I just want to go here, like, and maybe because I grew up so close to it, and I've been going since I was like 12. Like you'd go and walk around and stuff, and it's like it's just a bunch of buildings lit up. Unless you're 21 plus, it's kind of a shitty place to be.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go blow a bunch of money too.
But even if you are, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I get bored really quickly gambling and whatnot. Like I get if I lose $100, I'm pissed. So if I'm winning, great. But and I mean I've gone there for shows and stuff, and like that's cool because you got like the different types of environments.
They do have good shows and like good food and stuff, but still, I don't know. It's
in comparison though to like Europe, like these guys.
Yeah, like
if you're going to like if you're going to party, like so, you can go to Ibiza and it's gonna be way better than here.
Well, here's what's also interesting, right? Is we cover all these tracks. I've done all these track stat videos this season, and like all these tracks are in these like epic places,
right?
Like holy shit, like right, through Monaco City on the Mediterranean, or like in the fucking hills in Austria, and like these big lakes next, like these really cool. The fucking middle of the desert's a shithole.
Yeah, it'd be like racing through LA. It's just like, oh yeah, it's sick. I'm like,
at least LA has the ocean.
LA doesn't have the ocean. Santa Monica has the ocean. LA doesn't have the ocean.
Yeah, but that's still part of LA.
LA, it's like an hour. If you're in the middle of LA, it's still an hour to the ocean because there's so
Like
much
downtown.
fucking traffic. Yeah.
Well, not if you're in a Formula One car.
Oh god. You know
300 miles an
Do
hour.
you know how much of a disaster it would be if they did a F1 race in
The traffic's
If they did an F1 race in
traffic
San
is
Diego,
never
it'd be
light
kinda
enough
cool.
to be able to do a race anywhere. I mean, Laguna Seca's down in.
Isn't that up north? Laguna Seca? Am I wrong?
Maybe I thought it was like by Laguna.
It's not near Laguna Beach, I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was
I'm pretty sure it's not near Laguna Beach. I could be wrong, but
because I think there's another one up north.
Sonoma's up north.
Mhm.
That's NASCAR goes there. Maybe IndyCar? I don't know if IndyCar goes there. That track's actually really cool. I've been to that one.
Yeah,
I've seen NASCAR there. Yeah, I've seen NASCAR there.
Laguna Seca's cool. Corkscrew.
Oh yeah. That shot is gnarly. I heard that the G's on that.
That's what yeah. I wonder how an F1 car would even.
I think they're so big now.
Probably wouldn't even.
They probably wouldn't be
Or you
good.
probably wouldn't notice it, or it would really screw them up either
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Well, because I think all the cars that race there, because it's like that tight transition. I don't know if the F1 car would handle good there. I mean, I definitely see them like you race on Monaco, you think they can handle all that, but I don't know, dude. Like that's pretty gnarly.
They'd probably have to slow it down. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
It would be kind of interesting. Well, because you see them just go over a curb and how unsettled sometimes it gets
Oh,
and
yeah.
throws them into the wall. So yeah, it would be interesting.
Well, I mean, even if you play the game, right? Like you come out of certain corners and you're on it too much, like you'll light up the rear so fast, like
Send it into the wall. Yeah, it's
yeah,
like
and then you just spin like coming out of the corner, and it's minimal elevation, so you're like, what the heck?
man.
Who do you think's gonna win Vegas? We'll do that one, and we'll end on that note.
honestly, because I've never seen a race there. I don't really even know how the track layout's going to be for elevation and things. Maybe there's not going to be elevation, but
I think
really-
it'll be pretty flat.
I really
I
don't
don't
know.
think they can run elevation unless they go over. a
They'd have to
bridge
build
or-
it, right? Yeah. So I don't know.
I think it'll be very similar to like Mexico or something like that. Not very.
That's
much
kind of
elevation.
I feel like maybe it's going to be
not
similar.
like Texas.
Is there a lot of tight turns anywhere throughout? Like
Yeah, there's a couple like 90s and I think a 180.
yeah.
So
I mean,
I think
we're just going on par for the season, Max.
yeah. I
Red
think
Bull.
I'm looking at how I think Williams could do really well there based on the track layout. I think it'll be kind of like a hybrid of how Mexico is.
Yeah,
It's like very fast, like long straights and with like 90s and 180s.
and then like a slower section coming up into the straight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it might be like a hybrid of like Mexico and maybe Miami. Not so like,
but it's gonna be. I guess it's gonna be a street circuit.
yeah. So it'll be a street
So
circuit. That's
it
what I was
will
saying.
be-
So
yeah,
it'll
so
be.
I don't know, Checo maybe
I mean, that'd be cool.
if they give him
What about DR?
Barcelona's car.
That'd be sick. What if DR comes back and wins Vegas? He's the one that was pumping Vegas.
He
for
was
so
pumping
long.
Vegas,
So
yeah.
that DR, we're rooting
Even
for
though he's
DR
an
in Vegas.
Austinite.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The other meme about how America's drivers, Danny Rick and Logan's like sulking in the corner.
That was
Sorry,
good.
Logan.
That
We
was
love you.
great.
We love you too, Logan.
Well,
Cool,
I think that's a
guys.
wrap.
That's a wrap.
Thank you,
again.
Blood Lubricants.
Thanks, Blood
Go buy
Lubricants.
some. Go check it out. If you have any questions, message me or us.
Yeah.
I'll probably still answer it, but you can message him too. But yeah, no, thanks for tuning in. Definitely excited. Thank you, Blood Lubricants, for bringing us on, and we'll keep you guys posted on the updates as we keep going. So have a great race weekend in Brazil, and good luck to your fantasies.